I won't back down.
The sky above the human border world turned dark, not because of night, but because of ships. Huge alien warships covered the clouds, blocking the sun. People stopped running and looked up, fear freezing their bodies. This world was not important. It had no great army, no powerful fleet. It was only a small human colony, and now the alien empire had come. At the center of the alien fleet was one ship larger than all the rest. It was black and gold, shaped like a blade. Inside that ship sat the alien Empress. She ruled hundreds of worlds. Her armies had never lost. She watched the planet below with calm eyes. Humans were weak. That was what the records said. They broke fast. They surrendered faster. The Empress raised one hand. Her generals understood the signal. The invasion began. Alien landing forces poured down from the sky. Steel legs hit the ground. Energy weapons powered up. Human defense lines collapsed within minutes. Human soldiers fought, but they were tired. They were outnumbered. They were outmatched. One by one, human units fell back. Cities burned. Communication towers went silent. The Empress watched it all like a game. This was routine. Another world. Another victory. Then something strange appeared on the battlefield. In the middle of a wide-open plain, one human soldier did not retreat. He did not run. He did not hide. He stood, alone. His armor was damaged. His weapon was old. Smoke rose around him. But he stayed where he was. Alien soldiers noticed him and laughed. One human. No backup. No shield wall. The Empress leaned forward slightly. Curious? Why did this one not flee? A general spoke. He said the human was likely broken. Or foolish. The Empress gave a small gesture. She allowed the soldiers to approach. For amusement, alien troops moved closer. Surrounding the human, weapons aimed. The human did not raise his hands. He did not beg. He did not shout. Instead, he looked at the alien lines, at the ships in the sky, at the world burning behind him. He took a slow breath, far away, hidden in ruins. A few humans were still watching. Civilians, wounded soldiers, engineers. They knew this battle was already lost. But they watched anyway. The Empress studied the human carefully now. There was something different about him. Not his strength, not his weapon, but his stillness. She had seen fear many times. This was not fear. The alien commander ordered his troops to move in closer. They wanted to end this quickly. At that moment, the human pressed something on his armor. It was small, old, barely working. The ground beneath him trembled, just slightly. Alien soldiers paused, confused. The Empress narrowed her eyes. This world had no technology that should cause such a reaction. Dust lifted from the ground. Broken metal shifted. The human finally spoke. His voice was calm, clear. He said this world would not fall quietly. The alien troops raised their weapons again, but something felt wrong now. The air itself felt heavy. Deep underground, systems long forgotten began to wake. Human systems, built for a last stand. The Empress felt it. A small change, but enough to matter. For the first time since the invasion began, she did not smile, as the tension rose and the battlefield held its breath. Remember to gently support this channel by subscribing, so you do not miss what happens next. The lone human took one step forward, and the war changed forever. The battlefield stayed silent for a long moment. Alien soldiers stood frozen, weapons raised but not firing. They did not understand what had changed, only that something felt wrong. The lone human stood in the open, dust moving around his boots. He was still alone, still outnumbered, still facing an entire alien army. An alien commander broke the silence. He ordered the front lines to advance. He wanted this moment finished. The alien soldiers moved, hundreds of them at first, then thousands. Their steps were heavy, confident. The Empress watched from her throne ship. Her fingers rested on the arm of her seat. Her eyes never left the human. The first wave opened fire. Energy bolts filled the air. The ground exploded around the human. Smoke covered him completely. Alien soldiers believed it was over. Then movement came from inside the smoke. The human ran forward, not away, straight toward them. Alien soldiers hesitated. That hesitation cost them their lives. The human slid across the ground, fired a stolen alien weapon. The weapon overheated. He threw it aside and grabbed another. He did not fight like a machine. He fought like a human, unpredictably, disparate, smart. He used fallen bodies as cover, craters as traps, broken metal as shields. Alien formations broke. Orders overlapped. Soldiers shouted in confusion. The Empress leaned closer to the display. This was not in any record. The second wave attacked from the sides. Trying to surround him fully, the human noticed immediately. He triggered charges hidden beneath the dirt. Old human explosives. Crude, but effective. The ground erupted. Alien soldiers were thrown into the air. Armor cracked. Weapons shattered. For the first time, alien troops began to fall back. not because they were ordered to, but because fear had entered them. The Empress felt it clearly now. This human was not defending territory. He was buying time. Time for civilians to escape. Time for wounded soldiers to hide. Alien commanders shouted for discipline. They sent heavier units forward. Tall, armored aliens advanced. Their weapons glowed brighter. Their steps shook the ground. The human was bleeding now. His armor burned, his breathing heavy. Still, he did not stop. He lured the heavy units toward a narrow section of the field. Between ruined structures and collapsed towers. There, numbers meant nothing, one by one. The large aliens fell, pulled down by traps, blinded by smoke, finished with stolen blades. The Empress slowly stood from her throne, her calm expression gone. She ordered drones into the sky, hundreds of them, eyes everywhere. Even with the drones watching, the human kept surviving. Every movement hurt him, every breath burned, but he moved anyway. Alien soldiers began to whisper. They called him cursed. They called him impossible. The Empress raised her hand. She ordered the elite guard to prepare. Warriors trained only to kill legends before they could deploy. A sharp sound echoed across the battlefield. The human fell to one knee. Alien soldiers cheered, believing the fight was finally over. The Empress watched carefully. She did not cheer. The human pushed himself up again, using his weapon like a crutch. Blood ran down his armor. His vision blurred, but his eyes stayed focused. He looked directly toward the throne ship in the sky. For a brief moment, the Empress felt something unexpected. Respect. The elite guard ships began to descend. Dark, silent, deadly. The human took a deep breath, checked the last of his power cells, and stepped forward once more. The alien army prepared to witness something they would never forget. And far above the battlefield, the Empress realized this was no longer an invasion, it was a test. The air changed as the elite guard ships descended. Even the alien soldiers on the ground stepped back. These warriors were feared across the Empire. They were sent only when victory must be absolute. Their armor was dark and smooth, marked with symbols of conquest. Their weapons hummed with controlled power. The Empress watched. In silence, she trusted these guards. They had ended wars before they even began. The human stood waiting, breathing slow, pain pulling at every movement. The elite guards landed in a wide circle around him. Perfect spacing, perfect discipline. One of them spoke. Its voice was cold. It offered the human a chance to kneel, to die quickly. The human did not answer. He adjusted his grip, shifted his stance, and prepared to move. The guards attacked together. Fast, precise, no wasted motion. Energy blades flashed. Shots struck the ground inches from the human. He barely avoided the first strike. The blade cut through his armor, burning his side. Pain exploded through him. But he did not fall. He rolled, fired once. The shot struck a guard in the joint of its armor. The alien fell, not dead, but unable to stand. The others paused for half a second. That pause mattered. The human used it. He triggered a flash charge. Light filled the space, sensors failed. The battlefield became chaos again. The elite guards adapted quickly, switching to thermal sight. Spreading out, the human moved toward broken ground, where visibility was poor, where structure limited their numbers. One guard followed too closely. Its foot triggered a hidden wire. Explosives tore the ground apart. The Empress tightened her grip on the throne. This should not be possible. The guards regrouped. They began to hunt. Slowly, patiently. The human's breathing grew louder. Blood soaked his armor. His hands shook. Still, his mind stayed sharp. He remembered training, not about winning, but about surviving longer than the enemy expected. A guard attacked from behind. The human turned at the last second. The blade missed his neck by inches. He slammed his stolen blade into the guard's visor. The armor cracked. The guard collapsed. 2 down. Alien soldiers watching from afar stopped cheering. Some stepped back without realizing it. The elite guards changed tactics again. They attacked in pairs, trying to overwhelm him. The human retreated on purpose, leading them into a narrow passage between wreckage. Only one guard could move at a time. The first charge, the human dodged, used the guard's weight against it, and sent it crashing into exposed power lines. Sparks erupted. The guard went still. 3 down. Silence spread across the battlefield. The Empress stood now, her voice low, ordering the remaining guards to finish it. They attacked with full force. No hesitation, no mercy. The human was struck. Thrown against broken metal, his vision darkened. He slid to the ground, barely conscious. Alien commanders began to relax, believing it was over. Then the human moved again, slowly, painfully. He forced himself up, using the wall to stand. The remaining elite guards hesitated. For the first time in their existence, fear. The human charged. Not fast, not strong, but unstoppable. He used his last explosive. The blast tore through armor, shattered bodies. When the smoke cleared, Only one elite guard remained. Wounded, backed away. The Empress raised her hand, stopping. All fire. The last guard fell to one knee. The human collapsed at the same time. The battlefield was silent. Thousands of alien soldiers stared at the ground where one human had stood. The Empress looked down at the broken figure, her expression unreadable. For the first time in her reign, she questioned what victory truly meant. For a long moment, nothing moved. Smoke drifted slowly across the battlefield. Broken weapons lay scattered in the dirt. Alien bodies covered the ground. The human lay still among them. His armor was torn. His chest rose only slightly. Many believed he was finally dead. Alien soldiers began to breathe again. Some lowered their weapons. Others whispered in disbelief. The Empress did not sit down. She kept watching the human closely. Her instincts warned her. This story was not finished. Med units moved forward, carefully, scanning the field, preparing to claim what remained. Then the human's fingers twitched. It was small, almost invisible. But the Empress saw it. Her eyes narrowed. The human's hand pressed into the dirt. His arm shook violently. Pain rushed through his body like fire. Every bone screamed. Every breath felt like glass in his lungs. Still, he pushed. Alien soldiers noticed. Voices rose in confusion. Weapons lifted again. The human rolled onto his side, coughed, bled into the dust, and laughed softly. Not a laugh of joy, but a laugh of refusal. He whispered a few words. Words only he could hear. Words of memory. He remembered Earth, blue skies, crowded cities, quiet nights. He remembered people running today. Children, hiding, soldiers, buying time. That memory burned hotter than pain. Slowly, painfully, the human pulled one knee under him. "Alien commanders!" shouted, demanding permission to fire. The Empress raised her hand. She wanted to see this. The human stood. Not straight, not strong, but standing. His body swayed, his vision blurred. Blood dripped from his armor, yet he stood. A wave of silence spread through the alien ranks. Thousands of soldiers watched, unable to look away. This was not logic. This was not strategy. This was will. The human lifted his head and looked around. At the army, at the ships, at the Empress above. He raised his weapon again. Even though it barely worked, deep beneath the battlefield, old human systems responded to his movement. Emergency power surged. Hidden structures unlocked. The ground began to hum, low and deep. Alien sensors flared with warnings. Data streams spiked. The Empress felt it in her bones. This human was not alone anymore. Not truly. The human took one step forward, then another. Each step left a trail of blood, but each step pushed the alien army back. Not physically, but inside their minds. They had never seen this. A warrior who refused to stay down. A body that should be broken. Still moving forward. The Empress finally spoke. Her voice echoed across command channels. She ordered the full army to prepare. If one human could do this, what could the rest of his kind become? The human stopped walking, planted his feet firmly into the ground. He activated the last function on his armor. A beacon, not for rescue, but for warning. Across the planet, human survivors saw the signal. They knew someone was still fighting. Hope spread quietly. The alien army formed lines again. Weapons charged, artillery aimed. The sky darkened once more. The Empress stood tall on her Thrawn platform, her expression serious, her voice cold. She gave the command she had never given before. Total force. The ground shook as the alien army began to move. Thousands of soldiers advancing together. The human tightened his grip, his hands trembling, his heart pounding. He knew this was the end, or the beginning. As the army surged forward, the human took a deep breath and prepared to face them all. Alone, the Empress's command echoed across every alien channel. Total force. No restraint, no mercy. The alien army moved as one. Thousands of soldiers stepped forward. Heavy units rolled behind them. Artillery platforms locked onto targets. From the sky, weapons charged. Energy gathered like storm clouds. The human stood still, watching the army advance. He did not run. He did not shout. He waited. The first artillery strike hit the ground near him. The explosion threw dirt and fire into the air. Shockwaves rolled across the battlefield. Alien commanders expected the human to vanish. He did not. When the smoke cleared, the human was still there. On one knee, breathing hard, alien soldiers hesitated. Again, confusion spread through their ranks. The ground beneath the army suddenly shifted, not violently, but enough to break their formation. Old human machines woke fully now, hidden beneath the planet's surface. Defense systems built long ago. Never meant to win, only to delay. Energy fields flickered to life between ruined structures. Invisible walls stopped the alien front lines. Soldiers slammed into them, unable to move forward. Commanders shouted new orders. Units tried to go around. Then the ground opened. Traps swallowed armored vehicles whole. Heavy walkers fell into deep pits. Explosions echoed from below. The human activated each system manually, one by one, using codes burned into his memory. Every movement caused him pain. His vision darkened. His legs trembled. Still, he pressed on. Alien soldiers fired endlessly, but their shots hit shields or empty ground. The army had numbers, power, technology, but they could not advance. The Empress watched her forces stall. Her jaw tightened. This had never happened before. She ordered air units to strike the human directly. Fighters screamed down from the sky, weapons blazing. The human dove behind broken metal activated one last device. Anti-air turrets rose from hidden bunkers, old, damaged, but angry. The sky filled with fire. Alien fighters fell, spinning and burning. Alien soldiers stopped moving forward entirely. Now, some stepped back, others froze in place. Fear spread quietly, not loud panic, but deep doubt. The Empress felt it clearly. Her army was strong, but its confidence was breaking. The human climbed onto a raised piece of wreckage. Making himself visible again, blood ran freely down his armor. His breathing was loud, pain bent his back. Yet he stood tall. He raised his weapon toward the army, not to fire, but to show he was still there. The alien army did not move. Thousands of soldiers faced one human and could not take a single step forward. Commanders argued. Systems reported errors. Formations collapsed without being attacked. The Empress slowly lowered her hand. Her voice no longer sharp, but careful. She realized something dangerous. This human was not winning by force. He was winning by spirit. And spirit was something her empire had never learned how to fight. The battlefield held its breath once more. The alien army standing still. The human barely standing. Two sides locked. In a moment that would echo through history, the battlefield stayed frozen. Thousands of alien soldiers stood in perfect lines, weapons ready, but no one moved. The human remained on the broken high ground, blood dripping into the dirt, chest rising. Slowly, each breath, a battle of its own. The Empress looked down at the scene, at her army that could not advance, at one human who refused to fall. Silence filled the command ship. No general spoke. No officer dared to interrupt her thoughts. She had conquered worlds with fire, crushed rebellions without mercy, watched entire species kneel. But this was different. The Empress raised her hand slowly. Every alien channel went quiet. Cease fire. The order spread across the army. Weapons powered down. Artillery systems locked. Fighters pulled back into holding patterns. Confusion rippled through the alien ranks. Some soldiers looked at each other. Others stared at the human in disbelief. Why stop now? The human noticed the change, the sudden stillness, the absence of incoming fire. He tightened his grip, ready for a trick, ready for betrayal. The Empress stepped forward onto her command platform. Her image projected across the battlefield. Tall, powerful, unshaken, she spoke calmly. Her voice carried across every channel. She asked the human why he still stood, why he did not surrender, why he chose pain over survival. The human lifted his head. His voice was weak, but clear. He said, he stood because someone had to. Because if he fell, nothing would remain between the Empire and the helpless. The words were simple, but they struck deep. The Empress felt something unfamiliar. Not anger, not pride, understanding. She looked at her army again. Perfect armor, perfect weapons, perfect obedience. Then she looked back at the human, broken, bleeding, still standing. She realized a dangerous truth. If her empire fought humans fully, if they learned this kind of resistance, this kind of refusal to surrender, the cost would be endless. The Empress turned to her generals. She gave quiet orders, not shouted commands. Prepare withdrawal. Shock spread across the command ship. Some officers, Prat said, spoke of honor, of unfinished conquest. The Empress silenced them with a glance. She understood. Now, winning this world would not break humanity. It would forge it. The human watched the sky. Saw ships begin to pull back. Slowly, carefully, alien soldiers stepped away from the front lines. Not running, but retreating. The Empress spoke once more. This, Tom only to her records. She ordered this battle sealed. Its details hidden from public history. Its lesson remembered only by her. She looked at the human one final time, burning the image into her mind. Not an enemy, but a warning. As the alien fleet turned away from the planet, the human finally allowed himself to fall, collapsing into the dirt. But he fell, knowing something important. He had not won the war, but he had changed it forever. The battlefield slowly came back to life, not with weapons, not with explosions, but with silence breaking. Alien ships rose into the sky. One by one, massive shadows lifting away from the planet. The clouds finally began to clear. Alien soldiers withdrew in perfect order. Still disciplined, still dangerous, but changed. They did not look at the human with anger. They looked at him with caution, and something close to fear. The human lay on the ground, Barely conscious, his body finally giving in to pain, human survivors emerged from hiding. Slowly at first, unsure if this was real, medics ran toward him, dragging broken equipment, shouting his name, even though they did not know it. They found him breathing, weak, but alive. A cheer rose across the ruins, not loud, not wild, but full of relief. The world had not fallen. High above, inside the Empress's command ship, she watched the small human figures gathering around the fallen soldier. Her generals waited for her words. She said none. Instead, she turned away from the display and ordered the fleet to leave the system completely. As the alien ships entered hyperspace, she spoke quietly, almost to herself. She said humans were not strong like machines. They were strong like fire, small, fragile, but impossible to fully extinguish. Back on the surface, the human was carried into shelter. Doctors worked through the night, unsure if he would wake again. Hours passed, then days. When he finally opened his eyes, the war was already becoming a story. News spread across human space, not with his name, but with what he had done. One human, one battlefield, one empire stopped. Other alien species heard whispers. Quiet warnings passed between fleets and councils. Do not push humans into corners. Do not force them to stand alone. The Empress sealed the records of the invasion, classified every report, erased every image. But legends do not need records. They travel in fear, in memory, in the choices others make. Human forces rebuilt the colony, stronger walls, better defenses. But the greatest defense was something unseen: belief. Children grew up hearing about the day the sky darkened, and one human refused to kneel. Soldiers trained harder, not to be invincible, but to stand when it mattered. Far across the galaxy, the alien Empress sometimes thought of that world. Of that moment when an army could not move forward. She knew that, truth, the human empire was still young, still divided, still imperfect, but one day, if they stood together, no empire would stop them. On a quiet night, the human who had stood alone looked up at the stars. Scarred, changed, still human. He knew he was not special. He had only refused to step back. And because of that, the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. That was how the legend began.